Hi, I'm Karen Weinstein for Fit Bottomed Girls. Today I'm going to guide you through a short heart-centered yoga practice. For this practice, you'll need a blanket or a thick towel, and a couple of yoga blocks might come in handy, but they're not absolutely necessary. Whenever you're ready, I'm going to have you come and stand up, and we're actually going to begin with that towel or blanket. So wrap the blanket around you, kind of like you've just gotten out of the shower or the pool. See if you can snuggle it up underneath your armpits. You're going to wrap the front part around and then the other side and just tuck it under your opposite armpit. From here, you can take your hands and just place them on your heart. And what I'd like you to do is actually feel the circumference of the blanket or towel wrapped around you. And then see if you can inhale and breathe into the interior of the blanket. So the blanket's giving you a little bit of feedback about how your breath is moving in 360 degrees all the way around your body. If you feel comfortable, you could close your eyes. And see if you can just take 5 or 6 centering breaths here. As you inhale, you can imagine creating all of this space around your heart. And as you exhale, imagine your heart softening. See if you can feel that sense of expansiveness all the way around your torso as you inhale and exhale. I'll just take one last breath here, nice and full. Exhaling, releasing. And then you're going to unwrap that blanket and just pinch one edge of the blanket. You're going to hold it in your hand, and we're going to take this blanket kind of like a lasso and go all the way around your body. So we're just starting to kind of warm up and open up through the armpit and that side of the chest. So you could keep the blanket in really close to your body. That's going to stay a little bit more focused on the shoulder joint. Or if you'd like, you can make this movement really big and expressive and start to really get your torso involved, moving your ribs around a little bit. And then when you're ready, we'll just change directions. So keeping the blanket in the same hand and taking it all the way out and around you. Let's take one more spin here, and then we'll just pass the blanket into the other hand and start with those rotations on the other side. So again, you can keep this in nice and close, small movement, or you can take your arm a little bit further out away from you so you get a little more stretch through the side body. When you're ready, take the blanket, bring it around the other way. Excellent. One more time. And then when you're ready, we'll just release the blanket. Take a moment to come and stand. Just plant your feet on the ground, relax your arms. See if you can imagine where you had that blanket wrapped around your chest at the very beginning. And see if you can take a few breaths as if you're expanding into that blanket again. See if you can imagine the space around your heart expanding, front to the sides and in the back. And then as you exhale, imagine everything softening. So if my hands represent your chest or your torso, as you inhale, there's this sense of spreading out. And as you exhale, there's this sense of softening back in toward the center. Let's take one more breath like that. And then as you're ready, just take your feet a little bit wider than hip distance apart. You can put a little bit of a bend in your knees so you feel like you have a good foundation underneath you. We'll take the right arm up into the air and just take a nice big reach up through the right fingertips. Left hand comes around to the right ribs, and we'll take a little side bend over to the left. Now with your hand there to give you a little bit of feedback, can you imagine expanding the right side of your heart into your hand? So you can do that on your inhales, exhale, soften. So breathing into your hand. Imagine your fingers, your ribs kind of spreading out like fingers. Take one more breath here. And then when you're ready, come back upright. Release your right arm. We'll take the left arm up in the air this time. A little bit of a bend in your knees. We'll take the right hand and wrap it around to the left ribs and then come into that side bend again. So again, you're using your hand for a little tactile feedback here. See if you can imagine expanding that left side of your heart into your hand. Taking some breaths. Using your breath to help with that sense of expansiveness. When you're ready, slowly come upright. Interlace your fingers behind your back. Roll your shoulders back and think about lifting up through the front of your heart. If you'd like, you can take your hands and arms any amount away from the back of your body. See if you can take a few breaths holding here, shoulders down away from the ears, chest is wide. We'll take one more breath. And then just release your hands, interlace your fingers in front of you now, and then press out through the back of your hands, your knuckles round your upper back, drop your chin toward your chest, and see if you can find that same sense of expansiveness across your upper back. Think about sending your breath into the back of your heart, right between your shoulder blades. We'll take one more breath like this. And then when you're ready, just release your arms down, shake things out a little bit, move around. And then we're going to bring ourselves down onto the floor. Now, if you're familiar with yoga and you'd like to pass through a little bit of downward dog, you could certainly do that. Maybe just walk your hands down the front of your legs since we haven't done a lot of forward folding first. Fingers come to the floor, bend your knees as much as you need to bring your hands down. You can walk your feet back. Find a little downward dog, maybe hold here for a moment or pedal your legs out a little bit. And then as you feel ready, just making your way down onto your hands and your knees. Knees come gently down to the ground. Now, if you need a little bit of extra padding, you could always bring your blanket back in. Otherwise, just settling yourself onto your hands and your knees. So remember, this is a heart-centered practice. So we're going to come into a little cow pose, but see if you can think about this leading with your heart. So we're going to let the heart descend down toward the floor, and then imagine the back of your heart beginning to lift up toward the ceiling, like your heart is full of helium. Heart descends down toward the ground, and then heart lifts up toward the ceiling. See if you can stay with that for a couple more rounds. Now, if you'd like, you can start to get the rest of your spine a little bit more involved. Maybe you look out in front of you, lift your tailbone, and then tuck your chin, tuck your tail, back of the heart floats upward. We'll do one more round. Come back to what feels like a neutral position for you. And then from here, let's think about the left side of the heart moving out to the left. So we bring the spine into a little bit of a C curve, and then the right side of the heart moving out to the right side of your room. And take that a little bit side to side, right and left, heart shifting side to side. And then again, if you'd like to emphasize this a little bit more, you could actually turn and look over your left shoulder as the heart goes right, and then turn and look over your right shoulder as the heart goes left. Let's take that side to side one more time. And then when you're ready, just come on back to neutral. Now let's see if we can take that around in a whole circle. So imagine heart descends down toward the floor, and then shift your heart over to the left, up toward the ceiling, over to the right, and back down toward the floor. See if you can take a few circles like that, almost like you're jumping rope with your heart or swinging a rope around with your heart. And then let's see if we can just reverse directions. So heart goes down toward the floor first, and then over to the right, up toward the ceiling, over to the left, and then back down to the floor to complete that circle. And let's see if we can take the whole torso around in a few circles, leading with the heart. We'll take one more round like that. And then when you're ready, just settling back into what feels like a neutral position for you. If you'd like for the next one, you could actually curl your toes under so you get a little bit of a stretch through the soles of your feet, or you can keep the tops of your feet flat on the floor, whatever you prefer. And then walk your fingers out in front of you. Stay up on your fingertips, reach out nice and long, make this an active reach. Imagine reaching the crown of your head into the space between your hands. And then see if you can let your heart soften a little bit toward the ground. And then see if you can feel the back of your heart rise toward the ceiling, again, like your heart is full of helium. So heart releases down toward the ground and then floats up toward the ceiling. And if you'd like, you can sync this up with your breath. I like to exhale as the heart moves downward, and then inhale and fill up the back of my body with breath. Exhale, heart descends down. Inhale, fill up the back of your heart with your breath, right between your shoulder blades. One more time. Heart releasing down toward the floor, and then lifting the back of your heart toward the ceiling. And finally, walking your hands, your fingers all the way back in. Staying on your hands and knees, you're going to swing your right foot off the right edge of your mat like a little kickstand. And then extend your left leg out nice and long, turn your hips open to the left, and put the inside edge of your left foot down on the ground. Now this is where blocks might come in handy. You could have your right hand on a block, you could come up to your fingertips, and then we'll just take that left arm up toward the ceiling. Hold here for a moment and see if you can think about expanding in all directions out from your heart. If you'd like, left foot can stay on the floor, or you can reach out nice and long through that left foot. And then release the left foot down to the ground if you lifted it. Take your left hand and reach way beyond the top of your head. And then imagine the left side of your heart reaching up toward the ceiling. And see if you can come into a little bit of a side bend here. Breathe into that left side body. Lots of expansiveness through the left side of the heart. And then if you'd like, we'll make a quarter circle as we start to reach the left hand behind, turn your heart up toward the ceiling. And then make a quarter circle and start to reach your left hand forward as you turn your heart slightly down toward the ground. So heart turns up toward the ceiling. We can reach slightly back with the left hand. And then heart turns down toward the floor, reach slightly forward. Try 2 more of those, just at your own pace. You can take this as far as you'd like, or you can keep it really small and in close to your body. So your range of motion is entirely up to you. When you're ready, come back to what feels like a neutral side position here, and then we'll release left hand, left knee back down to the floor. And I invite you just to release your your elbows down onto the floor here for a moment. Take a few breaths. And then bring yourself back up onto your hands and knees. Now we're going to do the other side. I'm just going to turn around so I can stay facing you. But otherwise, it's the same start. So you're going to send the left foot off the left edge of the mat to act like a little bit of a kickstand. Right leg extends out nice and long, and you're going to turn your hips open to the right and then put the inside edge of your right foot down on the floor. From here, reach your right hand up toward the ceiling. And again, think about getting really expansive, like your heart is trying to reach out in all directions. Take a breath or 2 here. And then we're going to reach the right hand beyond the top of the head and see if you can think about the right side of your heart reaching up toward the ceiling as you do this. So imagine that right side of the heart's trying to rise, bringing you into a little bit more of a side bend. Breathing into the right rib cage, into your right armpit. Take 1 more breath. And then whenever you're ready, we're going to start to roll the right shoulder back, turn the chest up toward the ceiling, and then turn your heart down toward the floor. So that right arm is reaching slightly back and reaching slightly forward. Right arm reaches slightly back and slightly forward, just moving through the heart space. Rolling the heart open toward the sky and then down toward the floor. Let's just do that one more time. And then finally coming back into what feels like a neutral side position for you here, releasing the right hand down, releasing the right knee down. You have a couple of options from here. Number one, you could just release the forearms back down to the floor again and rest. You could also stack your fists on top of one another, forehead on top. Or if you enjoy child's pose, you could try taking your knees out wide, big toes together. Hips shift back toward the heels, but they don't have to touch. And again, you could either stack up your fists under your forehead, or you could rest your forehead down on the ground with your arms extended. See if you can still find that sense of expansive breath all the way around your torso. Breathing in, breathing out. Take one more round of breath. And then as you feel ready, begin to walk your hands back in toward your knees, lift your chest up, and we'll make our way down to lie down just for a few moments to finish our practice. So coming to lie all the way down on the floor, you can either keep your knees bent with your feet flat on the ground, or you can extend your legs out long. If it's comfortable for you, maybe you just take your hands and rest them on your heart, or you could rest your hands down on the floor. As you come down to rest, see if you can feel the back of your heart resting against the ground. See if you can become a little bit more aware of the space between your shoulder blades. And then see if you can simultaneously send some breath into the back of your heart, which is facing the floor, and the front of your heart, which is facing the ceiling. With every inhale, see if you can imagine a sense of expansiveness around the heart. With every exhale, see if you can feel the heart softening. And then just to add to this imagery, you could begin to imagine that your heart is like your very own personal sunshine in your chest. And just like a fire needs oxygen to increase, we can imagine that as we inhale, it's like stoking the flame in your heart. And as you exhale, imagine that the warmth from your heart begins to radiate outward, filling up your whole torso, spreading down your legs, filling out your side body, the whole front of your body. Inhaling, stoking the sun in your heart. Exhaling, feeling that sun radiate outward, filling up your chest, spreading down your arms, all through your back. Feeling that subtle warmth in your neck, your jaw, your head. So that you really begin to tune into the warmth of your own heart. Maybe even imagine it spreading out into the space all around you. Let's take one more breath. And then if you have more time to just stay here and rest and be with your breath, I invite you to do that. If you need to move on with your day, just start moving, reaching, stretching in any way at all that feels good so that you can bring some movement back into your body. If you'd like, you can draw your knees in toward your belly, maybe give yourself a little rock side to side. And then in whatever way makes sense to you, just beginning to make your way all the way back up to a comfortable seat. You can sit any way that you like. You could cross your legs. You could have your legs extended out in front of you, or you can kneel. Let your hands either rest on your lap, or if you'd like, you just bring your hands to your heart. Thank you so much for making some time to join me for this heart-centered practice. The light in my heart bows to the light in yours. Peace.